Residents of Reading, your host and town manager, Jane Wellman. And she is here today with Reading Between the Lines.
I love that. I love that sound. Thank you, Angela Merrill from RCTV. You're the best. You're the best hype girl we have. So today, our podcast that we're recording is about Reading during the Revolution, because we're coming up on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and Reading has these amazing local historians that I have gotten the pleasure to get to know a little bit, and I've invited them to come and tell us some stories about Reading during the Revolution. And RCTV is going to do us a solid by imaging, put some imaging up over our really fantastic
B-roll
video
is the
there.
fancy term,
I
Jane.
like B-roll. I knew that. And so we have some images also from our historians that we've offered. But first today, I want to welcome Alan and Ace Folds, who are, of course, the geniuses behind Porch Fest. Can we get a little... So, and they're in their Porch Fest t-shirts too, which is great. But Alan is also our town moderator, so if you're into local government and town meeting, he keeps us on track and in line and moving forward all the time. And Alan, how long have you been doing that role?
29 plus in the 30th term this year.
In the 30th term this year, but who's counting?
Right.
An institution.
I am.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, she's counting, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks, Ace. So, you're also a local historian, and you have your own amazing podcast with more than 50 recordings.
More than 50 episodes. I think it's 52 right now,
50,
yes.
that's almost my birthday.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all local stories, local meaning New England local, things that you wouldn't have heard in history class, but are pretty interesting.
That's probably what we keep more people in history class. What's the name of your podcast?
It's called It's Also History, Tales and Tidbits from Alan's Archives.
I have questions about Alan's archives. I want to see them.
That's a whole other episode,
That's
I
a
think.
It sounds like he's got 52 of them, at least. One per week, I can catch up. So I've asked you here today. We have known each other for a while. When I was town moderator in another community, you trained me, and we've worked together really closely during COVID to bring town meeting forward remotely, which was amazing. But we've also got to know each other a little bit through the history stuff, because you're local buffs and you've given me some exposure to some of the neat things that have gone on between here and Linfield and my family history as well. So I'm really excited to have you here today and talk a little bit about some stories that you have for Reading during the Revolution, and give residents a little highlight of what they may not know about their community. And you sent me some pictures, so if you tell me what you've got, I will put those images up, which direction you're going in.
All right. Well, I think the first thing we're going to talk about is it's really broken into three pieces. 1774, when leading up to April 19th. There's April 19th itself, and I know I've got some pictures for that. Oh, that's a good. The picture of the three parishes is probably a good one to start with.
Okay.
So we start with leading up to April 19th through 1774. Most of the stuff happened at town meeting, which of course everybody knows that's where everything important happens.
All of the best things happen at town meetings, yeah.
And then there's the April 19th Battle of Lexington and Concord, which Reading certainly took part in on the opening day of the Revolution. And then a third story is how the copy of the Declaration of Independence got to town, how people heard officially what had happened.
Fascinating. Okay.
So if you want to start right at the beginning, I've got some interesting stories about our town meeting records. We were heavily involved. Samuel Adams, of course, everybody knows him, if not from the beer, from the Revolution.
I hear the Scottish drank out Sam Adams
I heard
beer the
that,
other day. It's not a party unless the Scottish
Three
come.
times St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
So anyway, Reading was a little slow to really buy into it. It was they were loyal to the cause, but they weren't ready to jump at things. Samuel Adams himself sent, from the Boston Committee of Correspondence, he sent a proposed warrant article for Reading's town meeting back in February of '74. This isn't too long after the Tea Party. He wanted to see if the town will show its mind in relative to the letters sent to the town of Reading from the Committee of Correspondence. Effectively, this was an instructional motion.
That's where they come from.
That's where they come
Sam
from.
Adams. Oh my gosh. Okay.
The Reading Town Meeting probably discussed it, although that doesn't show up in the records. Just the votes showed up, and there's no record. They took no action on it. So they weren't quite ready yet. A couple of months later, though, Adams was at it again. May 22nd. He again asked the town, this time, to create its own Committee of Correspondence. Instead, Reading decided to create a committee to look into creating the committee. So we're getting closer, but not quite there yet. Then July, a couple of months later, Reading finally decides to take a stand. First, it voted to maintain its charter rights. It also voted to boycott British goods, and it created a committee of inspection. Went around and make sure you were living up to the boycott.
This is where the Inspectional Services Division was created.
Way back then. And what else happened? Oh, they also allocated 2 shillings and 2 pence to the cause.
Very generous.
Very generous, yeah.
like Reading always has been.
Right. But then by September 20th, Reading bought in.
Okay.
We sent 2 representatives to the Middlesex Convention. I should back up a little bit. Town meeting was looked on seriously as where all this revolution stuff was happening. Samuel Adams recognized that that's why he went to town meetings and to ask him to do things. General Gage, the Crown-appointed Governor General, knew it, and he was trying to shut them down. Parliament, Lord North said it's those despicable town meetings where everything happens. So he actually closed down, he meaning Gage, closed down town meetings, only allowed towns to hold 1 meeting a year, the annual meeting to vote its annual budget and to elect its officers, no other times. So Massachusetts being a little bit more literate than the average colony, everybody here knew how to read, and I think they all looked at themselves as lawyers. They said, well, they boycotted, they disallowed town meetings, didn't say anything about county meetings. So they held these county meetings. Every single county held a meeting. Suffolk Resolves, you've probably heard of them. They were the first county really to call for independence. But Middlesex had one, and we sent 2 representatives to it. But there was another thing, too. They didn't just do the county meetings. They effectively ignored it. They held the town meetings anyway. They didn't care what the Crown was saying.
Come get me. What are you going to do?
Yeah, they didn't know. I mean, out in the wilderness, they weren't going to know we did them, so they just did them. And that was true of every town around here. They just ignored that. As you probably know, Reading back then consisted of 3 separate parishes. We had 3 meeting houses. There was the North Parish, which is today North Reading, the South Parish, which is now Wakefield, and here we were the West Parish.
Okay.
And the Provincial Congress, I should point out how we even came out with a Provincial Congress. The Crown also banned our elected Provincial Assembly. But again, all being lawyers, just before they got the official word that the Provincial Assembly was being closed down by the Crown, they voted to create a new body called the Provincial Congress and then elected them, each one of them to it.
Okay.
So they created a new body, they closed down the first one, they picked up and moved to Concord. So they held almost like a shadow government. The
I was just going to say. it's a
Yeah,
shadow,
so the Provincial Congress, the first thing they did was select John Hancock as president, and everybody started paying their taxes to the Provincial Congress, including Reading. They just stopped sending it to the Crown, they sent them to this new Congress. In
But
October,
that went over well.
well, they didn't know what to do. They really didn't expect this to happen, so they didn't know what to do. And we had 3 parishes. Oh, also, one of the first things this new Provincial Congress did was to say that every parish of every town had to create a militia. Most of them had them already anyway, but this mandated that they had to do it. In addition, though, every town had to create a minute company, which meant that they took all of the fastest, youngest guys who were ready to go at a minute's notice. So Reading had a militia for each of the 3 parishes, plus this minute company. And it was interesting, the minute company, they chose one of the youngest people to captain it, a guy named John Brooks, who was originally from Medford. He had studied medicine under Dr. Simon Tufts in Medford. But Medford already had doctors, so he came out to the West Parish of Reading, right here, to become the doctor. He moved into the Damon House on John Street, which, by the way, is still there. And
So he went here.
he went here. He was
look
good.
this good
He
then,
was
I
good friends with Joseph Warren, also a doctor,
Yes.
who was really the guy the puppet master in Boston, leading all of these things. Probably would have been president if he didn't get killed on Bunker Hill. So he knew him. So he was in Boston with him the day before all this started, on April 17th. So on the 18th, he had a good idea what was going to happen that night, or at least within the next few days. Well, April 18th, of course, General Gage orders the troops out to Lexington and Concord. Mm-hmm. Paul Revere heads off to warn John Hancock and Samuel Adams, who were in Lexington. On the way, he stopped at Isaac Hall's house in Medford, one of the few places he actually mentioned stopping. He mentions he stopped it a lot, but that's the only one he actually called out. Well, right next door to Isaac Hall was Simon Tufts' house, where he was training doctors. Not only had he trained John Brooks, but there were a couple of other students that were still there. One of them was named Martin Herrick from North Reading. And there was another one named John Sprague from Malden. Well, Paul Revere told them each to head north to spread the alarm northward. So Sprague went to Malden. Herrick came here, as well as to Linfield, by the way. He rode up to the Damon house, looking for Captain Brooks, knocked on the door. He was told that Brooks wasn't home. He was out attending to a patient at the Hartshorn house up on Haverhill Street. Okay. Well, there's a couple of Hartshorn houses up there, so we don't know which one it was. But both Hartshorns were members of the Reading Committee of Correspondence, which they did finally create, by the way. And there he found John Brooks. Brooks then rode around to all three parishes, gathering his men, and then they marched off to Concord and met the British Army in Merriam's Corner, just outside of Concord.
That was a bad.
That was a pretty fierce fighting. Yeah. So Reading was right there, almost in the first 2 or 3 hours of the war. Reading was right there. There's a guy named Edmund Foster, who was a member of the Reading militia, whose diary really covers a lot of this. That's how we know.
Do you have his diary in your archives?
No. They'd probably notice if it disappeared.
Oh, I'm just checking.
He paused there for a minute. I don't know.
I'm not sure I should tell you that. So that's what happened on April 19th. So we were right there, part of it. Brooks himself, he's such an interesting character. He deserves his own podcast sometime. Okay. He became a major. He was with Washington for the rest of the war. When the word came to Washington that we had declared independence, it was Brooks who was given the job of addressing the troops to read the Declaration of Independence. Wow. He later became governor of Massachusetts. Okay. And he was the last Federalist. He was, the Federalist Party was dying. He was the last one. He was the governor of Massachusetts. He was the last one elected. And after that, there were no more Federalists. Oh. So anyway, like I said, that's a rabbit hole. We don't need to get out of there.
No, that's okay. Yeah. That is fascinating that Reading is right there.
Right there
from the very beginning.
The very start, yeah.
That is fascinating. All right, what else you got?
The other big story I like is the arrival of the Declaration of Independence.
Yes.
Now, of course, it was voted on July 2nd to declare independence, and July 4th it was officially signed by John Hancock. On the 5th, the next day, the Continental Congress ordered that all of the major cities and towns get the word out to them immediately. Boston was the first among them because this is where the war started, and it's where it had been raging for almost over a year by that point. Right. It arrived at the old State House on the 15th of July, and 2 days later, this Massachusetts Provincial Council that we mentioned earlier, Congress, ordered that copies be printed. They got a local printer named Ezekiel Russell to print a bunch of copies, and it had to be distributed to every town clerk, as well as to every minister of every parish of every denomination, and required that it be read from the pulpit on the first Sabbath after receiving it.
Can you imagine that today? I don't think that would happen now.
No, I know.
We're not reading that.
That was Facebook, I guess, back then.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, put it on Facebook. She said, yeah.
Put it on Facebook.
It's funny.
Give it a little meme.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
So what happened to Reading's copy? This is kind of an interesting story. First of all, I haven't been able to find any of the ones that went to the church, but that's not unusual. There aren't many left. I know. I had heard earlier that Concord has its. Yes. I know that Danvers has its copy, and there are a few others, but most of them are gone. I think this was almost like getting the newspaper. You read the news, you don't save the paper, and you toss it. Or good Yankees probably would have turned it over and used the back for something else.
That's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Or maybe it's in someone's attic, if anybody knows about it.
Check your attics, folks.
You have an old house, check your attic.
What I found interesting was it does not show up in Reading's town clerk notes like it does in most towns.
That wouldn't happen today.
No.
Our town clerk
No,
is all over it. That's right.
But I have a theory on that. The August 5th town meeting, the first one after declaration was declared, the first item of business was to elect a clerk pro tem, James Emerson, because the longtime clerk, Benjamin Brown, was off in the war. So for the next 3 or 4 months, there's almost no records. There's just the absolute bare minimum. I think he probably saw this declaration and said, I'm not copying this into the records.
No, it was long.
If it's like today, he probably already had 18 other things to do.
Probably. Absolutely. So we don't know, and this one came from, which one?
Okay,
We got one of
this
our
copy
own.
that
This
we
is
have is
Danvers.
actually Danvers.
Okay.
They do have a copy of theirs. And actually, they have more than one. They have, a couple of the churches kept it and the town kept it. So they have like 2
Wow.
or 3 versions of it.
Wow.
But
Good
they
job,
were nice
Danvers.
enough to make a copy for me. So actually, I'm involved in a reading of the Declaration this weekend in Linfield. And
right.
they've given us a copy of the copy to use for part of that ceremony.
That's great.
And I'm sure you know over in Linfield, Wellman is a big name.
I
Yeah,
do.
Yeah, one of the.
Yes. you
Yeah.
do. So my understanding is that my Wellmans came over on the Hopewell and were part of settling Lynn, and Linfield was the area of Lynn at the time that they
Right.
ended up in.
Yeah, that was part of Lynn until 1782.
Right. So, and I have a lot of interesting ancestral history in the area in Northeast Massachusetts. So it's really cool to work in Reading and have like these connections sort of nearby. But
So
yeah, there were
close.
a lot of Wellmans in Linfield and some that went to Concord and Lexington.
That's right.
that day.
Jesse Wellman was in the militia that went April 19th. And then Thomas Wellman in 1895 wrote the town history.
Right. I have that book. I have that book at my house. Yeah, I bought a copy on Amazon. It's
Aha.
amazing. He's still publishing. So that is that. What's your favorite connection that Reading has to the Revolution? Maybe
think-
you've already talked about it.
I think
What
the
is it?
fact that we were right there at the very start. I mean, there's only 32 communities sent their militias on that first day. And Reading was one of them, right at the very start, within a couple of hours after the beginning.
Do you think that spirit is still part of what Reading is like today?
I think so, and I hope so.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think Reading
yeah.
likes to be sort of on the bleeding edge sometimes
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
of issues and pushing the envelope. But also there's a pragmatism that still, I think, resonates in town. When they didn't jump right into
Yeah,
that
right, they
committee
were
of
for it, but
correspondence.
not yet,
I'm
not
gonna have a
quite.
committee to create a study, the committee. That sounds also very pragmatic and thoughtful, and like, let's think about what we're doing here. And then jumping all in. So I think both are true. It's very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing these stories with us
Oh,
today.
you're welcome. Thank you for having me on.
I'm delighted. And Ace, was there anything you wanted to mention?
No, just you got to go research with this guy because it's like an adventure. It's like, and we find the strangest stories, the strangest things,
is.
but it's always an adventure.
It's like a time,
Always
it's like being in a
learn
time
something.
machine.
It's like a time.
Yeah.
Time machine, yeah.
Yeah.
It was one night I was researching, when I wrote a book on ballparks, and I was in the library back when you had to use microfilm.
Yeah.
And I was reading an old paper, and I got down a rabbit hole all about this big fire in Malden. And I sort of forgot about it, and later on I said, did you hear about that fire in Malden? Oh, wait a second, that was 60 years ago.
It's been a while. Was that the fire that was of a fire station?
I think it was, yeah.
The one right next to like the town hall or the courthouse or
That's-
something?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
a-
so my friend owns that fire station right now.
Oh,
My
it-
friends own that, yeah, Lynn Waller, her family.
Oh,
She's-
and they
know
have a
them,
diner
the
in there.
diner.
They have a diner car, yes.
Yes, I've been there,
So
yeah.
my son went to school with their son, and so we've been over to the house a number of times, and.
He owns
that
a
was
lighthouse now, too, doesn't he?
They owns the lighthouse too, that's exactly right. No, great family, fantastic family, and that house, they would also sell like visits to it as fundraisers and stuff.
Oh, is that
like
right?
Yeah, really cool, great group of people, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really nice. I didn't even know, how did that work out? Small world, my friends.
I know, isn't
I
that
didn't know
funny?
knew about that house.
Yeah.
No, they're great people. I was just by that house the other day. All right, well, we're gonna invite our next guest on, so we're gonna take a small break, and Angela's gonna sing. And,
You were gonna
Only
say.
if you like show tunes. Is that our
Ace, I hear
segue
you.
into Porch Fest also? Don't forget to attend Porch Fest.
When is Porch Fest this year?
It's always the fourth Saturday of June, so this year it's June 27th.
June 27th, okay.
What
And it's a
time?
rain or
From
shine?
noon till 6.
Noon till
Rain
6.
or shine.
June 20, all right, so Angela, we gotta get this out before
I'm hustling.
before Porch Fest. So, yeah, today we're doing 3 podcasts effectively that we're recording, and we're talking with the Blodgett's next, Parker Tavern, and then we're talking about trash and recycling. Our new contract starts July 6th. So it's gonna be an uneven distribution of podcast releases, but a very interesting timing, so. And also, it's my birthday, July 3rd. So I've always been
Oh,
interested in
happy
revolutionary history. So, thank you very much. Wow. I love you. Thank you for that. And we have one extra special little tidbit from Alan that was on his notes that I really wanted to capture for all your local government nerds out there.
All right, this again concerns town meeting, which seems like everything concerns town meeting.
All the best things happen. Tell me.
It's the way town meetings were called before April 19th, before Patriots' Day, right up to February 9th of 1775. Our town meetings were called officially in the name of His Majesty the King. The first meeting after April 19th, which was actually May 18th, 1775, our town meeting was called in the name of the Massachusetts Provincial Congress. In other words, we were separate. We didn't wait for any Declaration of Independence. We considered ourselves a separate place. And that's the way it was up until the first meeting after the 4th of July. On August 5th, the first town meeting after official independence, the town meeting was called in the name of the Independent States of America. And like I said it earlier, the good old IS of A.
Right? It really rings true. You know, we're in World Cup. Vote for
Yeah.
root for the ISA. That's fantastic. And what do we call them in now? What do we call town meetings in the name of now? How does it work? It's usually a properly served warrant.
You know what's
funny?
funny? I'm there every single time, and I can't remember. I think I'm too busy worrying
Moderated
about what
you, stumped Alan.
No, that's fantastic. All right, but it's definitely not
I
either
think
of
it's
those
in the
anymore.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm pretty sure now that I'm running it through my head.
Right, no, I think
You've
you're
given
right
him
too.
some homework, Jane.
Yeah.
We'll be back. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate it.